Quasi here, and in today's video, I want to share with you how you can eliminate procrastination once and for all. But not only that, how to get into a state of flow and bring this flow state into every single area of your life that you want to bring in, so that you no longer have to force yourself, so that you no longer have to struggle against something, and so that you no longer have to fight against yourself to do something that you have to do in your business, whether it be marketing, whether it be coaching, whether it be, prospecting, but actually enjoy it, grow from it, and have it be effortless. This took me a very, very long time to figure out. So I really want you to pay close attention to this video because there's going to be some nuanced points. And what I'll really share with you are 4 deep principles that I recently just figured out to help you get this flow state and attain this flow state in any single area of your life. So please stick around to the very end of this, and I'm really, really excited for you. So before I go ahead and get started with this video, I want to quickly announce that I made a brand new bootcamp for you. If you go down to the pinned comments below, you'll be able to access that. Just click on it and you'll also get exclusive access to my email list where I can share stuff that I can't really share on the channel. Just an interesting side note, I actually tried to record this video once. This will be my second time recording it. The first time I didn't even turn the camera on, so that was quite unfortunate. But I'm excited to do this video again for you guys. There's some really crucial points here. Maybe I'll release the first one as a podcast or something. But without further delay, let's go right ahead and get started. Today I want to talk about eliminating procrastination, how to do it, and I really don't want to share some gimmicky reprogramming your subconscious mind or jump around and shout so you get some motivation or any of that stuff. Because I tried that and all of that short-term gimmicky stuff is short-lived. But what I do want to teach you are principles that you can begin to implement in any single area of your life, okay? You can mold these principles to yourself and how it might work for you, right? So, before I get started, I want to get started with a story. And this is a personal story of mine and how I came to this realization. But essentially when I was younger, around 14, 15, my whole life when I was younger, I would see that I would be super engaged while playing video games. But whenever I had to do homework or any schoolwork or any other chores, I would procrastinate. And my whole life I started to believe that I was just a procrastinator. I was this lazy person because my parents would tell me I'm lazy, my environment would tell me I'm lazy, and I'd never want to complete stuff until the last minute. So I started to believe that I was lazy and that I was just worthy of playing video games. But what I didn't realize, and what my environment didn't realize, and they never told me this, is that it's not that I'm a procrastinator, because clearly I'm not procrastinating on video games, okay? I never procrastinated on video games. Whenever I set up some mission in the game, I would just complete it. Whenever I would start a video game, I would play for 12 hours straight, no problem, no lapse in concentration at all. But when it came to homework, no concentration there whatsoever. So until the time when I turned around 14, 15, maybe around 16 years of age, and I saw that I was spending 12 hours a day playing video games from morning, like 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. With my friends online, I started to get this FOMO. I was like, oh, I'm missing out on life. My friends are going out and partying and socializing. Maybe these social skills will help me in the future, and I can learn to network, or I can meet some girls and be cool and all that stuff. But, when I started to get that FOMO, I started to wonder, well, why is it so hard for me to go out there and do all of these things, but it's so easy for me to play video games? Why? And that's when I started to realize it's because I didn't enjoy all of that stuff, and I did enjoy video games. And one day I just had enough, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start going to the gym. And if I start going to the gym, I gain some muscle. Maybe it'll be easier for me to be more confident and present myself. So I started going to the gym, right? And I started to lift weights, and I saw that I was getting better at it. I was gaining some muscle, and I was doing the bench press, I was doing the squats, I had a good routine going on. And I would look at videos of it online on how people were doing it, proper form and everything. And I started to do it myself. And I was, getting pretty good at it. My weights were going up. I was bulking up. I didn't want to be that scrawny kid anymore. And that's when I realized that, wait a second, I'm super engaged with this. I'm actually as engaged in lifting weights as I was with video games. So this turned out to be my second ever love. Weightlifting and going to the gym was my second ever romance. My first ever being video games. But I never thought that I could replicate that kind of love that I had for video games onto something else. And then it came for personal development. And then it even came for my academia and like trying to get a good grade in school and graduate with a great degree. And then it even came in my business, right? So I started to see that unconsciously I could pick out those patterns and things that got me super engaged with weightlifting, with video games, into all other aspects of my life. So I started to ask myself, what are these principles? What's really helping me do this and replicate this, right? Up until a couple weeks ago, I never understood what it was. I thought I was just doing it, and I thought, I had a surface level picture. But recently I've come across this book called Reality is Broken. And this is by Jane McGonigal. And she explains how more and more people are using video games to escape their real lives. And the title of the book is, it says it all. It says reality is broken. And she claims that reality is broken, video games are a good escape because of these 4 reasons, these 4 principles, which I'm about to share with you. And these 4 principles are what really helped me get into flow state in my business. And you understand that if you can get into this flow state and doing work becomes effortless for you and you actually get joy from it, you're going to want to do more of it. And if you do more of it, you're going to get more results. As opposed to your competitor who keeps forcing themselves and, taking massive action and fighting against themselves, they're going to eventually lose because they're going to burn out their willpower reserves, whereas you're not going to even need willpower because you're going to be pulled by it. So that's what I want to be possible for you. That's what I want to be possible for every single human being, because that's how it should be, right? You should be doing something that you love every single day. So without further delay, let's get right to these 4 principles. Principle number 1, what helped me? Why Quasi is so engaged in video games with weightlifting, but he wasn't for business. He wasn't for academia, right? At first, at least. So principle number 1 is satisfying work. What does this mean? Of course, everyone wants to do satisfying work, but what the hell do you mean, Quasi? Well, what I mean by satisfying work, any work that's satisfying will have a clear activity plus impact. Okay? So essentially, what this means is, if you look at video games, right, you have this clear mission you've got to complete. And when you complete that mission, there is some impact. Your world, the video game world, changes in some way. You make an impact on that world by doing that activity. So if you look at games like World of Warcraft, I'm sure many of you've played that before, or GTA, you've played that before. When you do a mission, the world changes a little bit. So in World of Warcraft, when you do a mission, the whole server updates and the other players can experience the mission that you've completed, and they feel the effects of your actions, right? So this is satisfying work. You have some clear activity, you do X, Y, and Z, and you make some impact on some environment or something, right? That's number 1. That's why we like to do things that are satisfying, that have clear impact, and we get into flow state. So, by the way, these are the 4 principles to fulfillment. Okay. Number 2, hope of success. What does that mean? It's pretty self-explanatory, but how I like to do this is with a word called Kaizen. And the Japanese automotive manufacturers used to use this because they wanted to get a little bit better, incremental improvements every single day. And that's how they became one of the giants, right? So if I look at video games, if you look at video games, you will find that many RPGs have these characters that you level up. And the more you play, the more experience points you gain, the more money you get. And with that money, you can buy stuff for the character. You can buy swords, armors, etc. The same thing happened with me in the gym. Right? When I started to go to the gym and I started to lift weights, I saw that I could lift more weights and I was getting better. My bench press was going up, my squats were going up. I was gaining muscle. I look in front of the mirror, I'm getting a little bit bigger. I'm seeing clear results from my work. I'm getting a little bit better every single day. And this is what got me hooked, right? Getting better every single day. So that's principle number 2, hope of success in any activity, any area of your life. If you can implement this, you're going to be super engaged with it. Number 3, social connection. Now here's an interesting thing. Human beings are social creatures, and social creatures crave social interaction and connections. Now, what I started to see was when I was playing these single player games, I would just complete the storyline and I'll be fulfilled. I'm like, okay, great, that's done. But when I started to play multiplayer games, I could play all day. I was playing 12 hours a day with my friends during the summer holidays. And you know, it was because we were all coming together in a group and we were collaborating on how to complete this mission, how to complete this heist. And it was super, super engaging. And we were becoming better friends as a result of it. We had more commonality. So social connection essentially means establishing some bonds. But please, I want you to also reflect on this for a second. Any relationship that is successful because the two people have a common goal. Right? They grow together towards that goal. It's only when two people grow apart because they have two different goals does divorce, does separation, do two people just essentially grow apart in the first place because they have two different goals with their lives, right? So naturally they're going to grow apart. You grow towards your goals. So anytime you have friends at a bar, your friends at a bar, you have golfing friends, you have these friends because you golf together, you have these friends because you go to the bar together, you have these friends because you go to your country club together or whatever, right? You have these friends that you game with, you have these friends that you go to class with. So you have these different sets of friends that you do different things with, right? And it's because you have these common goals with these people, and that's how you build social connections. So another thing I started to notice was when I was going to the gym, I actually started to collaborate with other people in my class who went to the gym. And then we started to go to the gym together. And I was like, holy shit, this is so great. Now I'm working out with some friends and I was even more motivated to go to the gym every single day, right? So this is how, social connection really works in helping you become more fulfilled and get into a state of flow. And last but not least, anything that you do must contribute to a higher purpose in order for you to feel fulfilled. So higher purpose. And what this essentially means is contributing to something greater than you. Contributing greater plus some feeling of awe and wonderment, right? Interestingly, when I started to go to the gym, I realized that I could teach other people who were wanting to go to the gym. Like there were some of my friends who wanted to start up, right? Just where I was before. And I was giving them advice like, hey, you can do this, you can do that. Let's just begin with this. I was kind of training them for free. And that led to one thing led to another. I was actually mentoring them on other areas of their lives, like relationships, like their careers and finances and how to work on their mindset. And that's really how I got into all of this stuff in the first place. It's because I felt when I was going to the gym that I was actually contributing to a higher purpose by teaching other people. And that's why I love teaching so much. I love sharing knowledge so much. I'm always looking for better ways to do it and better ways to convey ideas, right? So this is why I got super engaged with the gym. If you look at video games, games like Halo, they make you almost feel like you're part of a greater mission, right? So in Halo, there's these worlds that are so vast, and there's the music that they use. They have Gregorian and Sufi mystical chants, right? It just makes you feel like, holy shit, like what am I a part of? You feel this sense of wonderment and awe, right? And the whole purpose, like the whole tagline of Halo is, you fight against, you're on a mission to protect mankind from aliens, right? The whole premise of the game is you're fighting aliens so that mankind can survive. So that is a pretty high purpose if you ask me. So to conclude, these are the 4 principles. Now, you might be asking, these are great and all, but how can I implement them in my business? We're going to get right to that. But before I do, I want to give you a little more concrete example, a couple more examples of how these can play a part in other areas. So let's look at these 4 principles in action. Example number 1, games. We saw this. the satisfying work is you do some mission and the world changes and you have some impact through that mission. That is incredibly satisfying. In real life, however, it's sometimes very unclear what you've got to do. Maybe in your business, it's kind of unclear. It's like, oh, what do? I don't know what to do. I'm confused. And then you doubt yourself and you second guess yourself because you don't know the clear impact of your actions, right? So that's example number one, games. Example number two, hope of success. Your character and equipments, they upgrade. Like in Call of Duty, you level up, you rank up, you get some prestige or something. I'm not really a big Call of Duty fan. But again, in real life, you don't know if there's some hope of success. You don't know what's going to happen in your business. There's a lot of doubt surrounding it. And that's why we escape our reality with video games, right? With things that are easier. That's number two. Number three, social connection. Playing with friends. In video games, you get to play with friends. That's fun. You do something together. You're not in this alone. In business, when you're a solopreneur, this is why 90% of businesses fail, or 99%, whatever the number is. You don't have a friend to do it with. You're alone. You're alone doing this by yourself. You're some solopreneur trying to start up a business you had a wild idea about. So that's number three. Number four, higher purpose. Some games like Halo, have epic storylines and there's some sense of mission. Like you've got to fight the aliens in order to save Earth, right? That's a pretty big mission. In life, when you're working your job or you're doing some business, you're just thinking about, okay, maybe I'm going to make this money or I'm not. You're not really seeing the higher purpose. So it's hard to get motivated. Like I can think of one example, like, I don't know, an e-commerce business. How would you look at what's the greater impact I'm making with this? So you've got to be able to manipulate your psychology in order to do that. And I'm going to, explore this with you in a second. But another example I want to show you is golf. Right? So satisfying work in golf is you have a correct swing and the ball reaches your target, wherever you wanted to hit it. That's pretty satisfying if you ask me. Hope of success. You practice, you go to the driving range, you try different things, you try to do different improvements in your swing, and you improve. Number three, social connection. You play with your friends, you go to the golf course, and you collaborate. It's also a competitive spirit. It's fun. And higher purpose. When you go somewhere where there's an epic course, there's some records that's being set, like, oh, this is the champion of this course. You've got to beat, a 72 in order to become a champion of this course. Then you're like, well, there are epic courses to conquer. So in this way, sports like golf, like soccer, and all of these things, they become super duper engaging. Okay? So now let's look at a more concrete example, because you're probably a business owner and you're wondering, Quasi, how do I do this for myself, right? And how I did this with my business. So I'm going to keep this and erase this. So let's say you are an online business owner and you've been struggling with procrastination. You've had a lot of projects you've been putting off and you're like, what do I do? Let's look at the example of marketing or prospecting. You have to go out, you have to make these ads, you have to do some prospecting, you have to reach out to prospective customers, you have to send 20 or 30 messages a day. What could be the satisfying work here, right? Well, the satisfying work here is you reach out to a prospect and then they respond to you and you get them on a call or something and then you close them. So what you have to do, what are the inputs here? You have to look at inputs. And you have to observe the outputs, but the outputs aren't in your control. So you look at the inputs. And the inputs here are you make ads, or you reach out to XYZ people. And in this way, you can get engaged. A great way in which you can get engaged is if you start to track how many people you've reached out to, and you see how you're improving, which directly relates to the second part of this, hope of success. Having some sort of tracking sheet to sort of gamify it, turn it into a video game. You have a tracking sheet, you're like, okay, well, today my target is to reach out to 20 people. And you see if for 30 days you can reach out to 20 people every single day. And you just reserve your judgment, okay? Because reality is a little bit different. You won't get immediate feedback, but the money you're making today is probably the rewards that you're reaping from the work you did 2 years ago, right? So that's how I would do it in my business. If I wanted to get fully engaged in something, I would find a way to keep score. Okay? So this relates to number 2, hope of success. How am I improving? How to improve? Measure. I think back a very long time ago, this guy, Lord Kelvin, who invented the temperature scale, the measurement in kelvins, he said, in order to improve with anything, you've got to measure. So how can you measure? How can you have some sort of metric? Maybe you have some sort of metric for how many hours of deep work that you did today. Oh, how many hours of deep work did I put in today? How many hours did I spend prospecting today? How many hours did I spend making this ad today? Right? So you track your hours and you measure yourself. That's what I used to do. So that's number 2, social connection. This is a pretty easy one. How can you feel socially connected? For me, I was super fulfilled when I was doing the sales course because I was connecting to my prospective clients. I was in the zone because, I'm this extroverted person and I have this need to relate to other people. So my strength gets activated when I do, prospecting work and connect with people. But when I switched to doing more introverted, deep kind of work, I got a little bit frustrated because I wasn't talking to people. I was just locking myself behind a screen and just doing work, like just doing deep work all day. And I didn't like that. So I was like, how can I implement this social aspect of it? And I started to have a daily team meeting. I started to meet with my team every day for lunch, and that's what helped me. So you could have something like an accountability partner that you meet with every day, right? So meet with like-minded people. Now, do you have to do this every day? No. You can do this as much as you want or as little as you want. That's completely up to you. So you meet with like-minded individuals that are in your space. Maybe if you have an e-commerce business, you find an accountability partner in some Facebook group and you both collaborate and you become accountable to each other. Don't underestimate the power of this. It's very, very, very powerful. Maybe you have a mentor that you meet with once a month. I have a couple of mentors or a couple of coaches that I meet with a couple times a month. Right? So that's number 3, social connection. Higher purpose. How can you feel like your work is contributing to some higher purpose? And you've got to look at this higher purpose as your mission in life. You've got to get clear on your mission in your life. And this is why I do the Reality Mastery program, because we teach you how to craft this mission in your life and how to make everything feel as though it's contributing to that mission. If you can start to show yourself that, you will be engaged, you will be fully fulfilled and doing something every single day. So maybe you write out some mission statement for you, like what do you want to achieve 10 years from now? What great impact do you want to make? And this little work that you're doing today is contributing to that. And if your mind can see that, you're going to tick off this box, right? You're going to feel this massive sense of purpose in whatever it is you're doing. Your e-commerce business can contribute to a great purpose. You're serving people by doing this. For me, it was quite easy because I was working on mindset and teaching people. I always had this great mission. Maybe you write out some mission statement that your company has. What is that, right? So this is long-term goals. Long-term goals that contribute to this mission. So set those. Look at 5-10 years from now and how you can make an impact on the world, how the work you're doing today is making an impact. Maybe even write down 5 ways in which the work you do today is making an impact on 5-10 years from now, what you're going to achieve, right? How you're going to help the world. So with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I know this was slightly long, but I hope you got value from this. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of this. Let's do a quick recap of what we talked about today. So today we talked about how to eliminate procrastination, how to stop feeling like you're battling against some invisible force every single day, and how to stop fighting against yourself. And I began with a story of me playing video games and how I thought I was a procrastinator, and I carried around that identity of a procrastinator for a very long time. But turns out that wasn't true at all. What was true was that I wasn't finding ways to make what I'm doing satisfying, to make what I'm doing fulfilling. And it's because these boxes weren't ticked off. And these 4 principles are, number 1, finding some sort of satisfying work. And what that means is it's some clear activity that gives you a clear result. You do X and you get Y. If the mind can see that, it'll be involved, it'll be fulfilled. Number 2, having some hope of success, Kaizen, continual improvement, measuring yourself, measuring the results, improving on it every single day. Number 3, having social connection, meeting with like-minded people, collaborating, building bonds. And number 4, feeling some sense of higher purpose, that this is greater than you. This is why people want to work for companies like Apple and Google, because they look at the mission and they're like, oh, I want to be a part of that. That's a great mission. So this is even a great way to motivate your employees, right? And we looked at different examples of these, and specifically we talked about video games, we talked about me going to the gym and why it was so fulfilling, and golf. But, well, this is wonky. But we also looked at an example of business and how this relates to business. Again, I apologize for how wonky this is, but I hope this is legible. We talked about satisfying work and how you can begin to implement this right now. How? You look at the inputs that you've got to put in and what potential outputs you could get from it. If I do X amount of prospecting, I know by my math that if I send 20 messages, 5 people will inevitably respond. Out of those 5 people, I'll get 3 of them on a call. Out of those 3 people, maybe I'll close 1 and I will make this much money, right? So I would say reserve your judgment for 30 days for a certain period of time, because it doesn't immediately happen. You know, it's not every 20 people that you send to that's going to, 5 of them are going to respond to you, right? So inputs, learn what sort of inputs you've got to put in for your ads. Like maybe you have a goal to make 2 ads every single week and test out different angles. Maybe you have this input of, okay, I got to reach out to this many people, 20 people a day. And combine it with how to improve, your hope of success. Measure yourself. Look at others who are crushing it, who are doing the same thing. Become part of communities and you're seeing other people do it. If they can do it, you can do it too, right? This gives you some hope of success. And social connection is to meet with like-minded people, meet with someone every single day who's in this space that you are in, whether this be your mentor, whether this be your team, whether this be an accountability partner. All of those are equally important. And finally, feeling some sense of mission, feeling some sense of higher purpose. What you're doing right now, how is it contributing to something larger than yourself? Why does your company exist? What you do, why does it even exist? Apart from helping you buy a Lamborghini. Because you're going to eventually get bored of buying stuff with all of the money that you make. Eventually, you're going to want to make an impact that's larger than you, because every single life strives to be larger than itself, right? So with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. Let me know what you thought of this. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that little bell there so you're notified of any new video that I put out. And also, if you'd like to work closer with me and my team, and you'd like to apply for a reality mastery program, the link for that is in the description below. Who we typically work with are people who are entrepreneurs and business owners who want to scale their businesses, and they have all of the tactics and strategies. They know what to do. They're seeing other people use the same tactics and strategies and crush it. But for some reason, you can't. You're stuck at a certain revenue, maybe 5K a month, maybe 10K a month. And what you're seeing is it's really a personal problem. It's this internal problem that's reflecting out in your business. You keep doubting yourself. You keep fighting against yourself. You keep procrastinating. If that sounds like you, click on the link, fill up the short survey, and let's see how we can help. Also, if you'd like to access our free Facebook group, that's open for you as well. Click on the link in the description to sign up for that. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Till next time. Peace!